Okay, so last time we made some sprites. Now, and they're right here. This time we're going to start setting them up in our game. So let's goofy. Start up Unity. And create a new project. We want to select 2D because we're making a 2D game. And you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it Crazy Chicken Tutorial. Alright, there it goes. And Unity's going to set up the scene for us and what we have. Normally your screen is going to start out looking like this. We want the scene. That's where we actually build our game. You can change the size of any of these. So the first thing we want to do is get our sprites into our game. So what we'll do, you can either assets, import new asset, find it on the desktop, this one, and import it. Sure enough, there it is. The other option is you can just go to our desktop, the two arcs, and we'll bring those in, and the egg we created. There, perfect. And let's just right click on the project. That's where we wanted to drag them in here. That's all the files we have to make our game. We'll create a new folder called sprites. It's always good to start organizing your stuff as soon as you can. So, first thing we're going to start to work on is the chicken. And you'll see if we bring this whole thing in here, we end up with getting the whole sprite sheet. And that is not what we want. We only want one chicken. So how do we fix that? Let's right click on this and delete it. Click on here, the chicken. We go over to our inspector. Inspector shows us everything about the object that we've chosen. In this case, the chicken. And what we want to do, since it's multiple sprites on one sheet, we want to change the sprite mode from single to multiple. Then we go to sprite editor, or apply, sprite editor. And for this, we are just going to use the automatic slice because it'll do everything's nice and lined up. It'll do just a fine job of slicing it for us. So we click on slice, leave it set to automatic, hit slice, click apply, and if you look, it's got a little box around each one. Now they're all individual sprites. So then we pick the one that goes to the left, which is down here. Oh, you might want to also change so that it doesn't look as blurry. There is the filter mode. When you're doing pixel art, generally what you want to do is change this to point. And click apply. Otherwise it kind of looks a little fuzzy. And we'll stick it in our scene. And to me, I always like to have all my objects dead center. Okay. And really, that's pretty much all we need for that. But if we look at it in the game, we'll see that it's really small. So what we want to do is move our camera in. And I'm just going to set it to size 1. And that's about the size we really want. So that's pretty much all that we have to do for the chicken, at least for starting out. So we're going to make a prefab out of that. Prefab is just a prefabricated piece that you can use over and over and over again rather than having to make it every time. It's better usually if you're going to use it over and over again. It's better to have a prefab rather than any other way. This chicken. And I'm going to change this. No, not on this one. And to create a prefab, all we need to do is just drag it into our project. There. And now anytime, if we want, we can just delete this whenever we need the chicken. Just bring it back up in there. Bam. It's right back where we started out with it. Let's get rid of that. Next, we're going to work on the arcs. So let's take number 5. This is because it's a single sprite. We don't need to change anything in here. We'll set it at 0, 0. So we did that. Let's leave the chicken in there so we can see how it looks in the game. Looks fine. But what we'll notice, when we rotate it, looks good. All right. So we might as well, while we're at it, make our first little level here. We'll bring in another arc. Well, actually, let's do it this way. We'll duplicate it. And then we'll just rotate it 180 degrees. Look at that. Then you may ask yourself, well, how are we going to get them to rotate together? Believe it or not, that's really easy. All we do is we create what's called a child. We create a parent object here, or create an empty. Once again, we want this at 0, 0. We'll name it level 1. And then we'll just take this here in the hierarchy, and we'll drag it right on there to level 1. Both of those. Now, when we turn this one, they rotate together. And the way that I'm doing that is I'm in the transform here. This represents its position in 3D space, rotation, scale, is size. So I'm just clicking on this Z and moving my mouse, holding the mouse button down, moving left and right. It rotates it for us. We'll put that at 0. Excellent. And once again, make that into a prefab. Then while we're at it, we might as well make another level. So I'm just going to duplicate this one again. Turn it 90 degrees. Name it level 2. Create a new prefab. And we'll make one more. This time I'm going to take this, remove this one. This is fine because we're just going to create a new prefab anyway, but of a new level. We'll bring in number 6. And once again, put it at 0, 0, 0, which it did for us. Parent it to here. And we'll just turn it 90 degrees. And look at that. We got a whole nother level. What do you know? We'll call that level 3. And you can continue to do this with as many as you want. For demonstration purposes, I really only need like 3 levels. So, level 3. And then, of course, we need the egg. And once again, we don't want all 3 of these, we just want one. So we'll click on it, change it to multiple, just like last time, we will make it point, point. We click apply, and we open the sprite editor, and we go to slice, automatic. That's already there for us. Hit slice, click apply. If this wasn't right, you can change the size of that. Now it's going to ask me if I want to apply it again. No, I like the way it was. So. And now, if you look, you can bring in an egg. Now, of course, we don't want to use, like we said, we want to create a running egg. So we might as well create the animation while we're at it. Window, animation, and click create running egg. You can call it whatever you want. And when we hit this record button, generally to get my first frame, I just pick one of these and move it, and then set it back to 1. Then our next frame, we want, so that's his legs together. We want his front leg forward, so we'll do that. And if you look, put it at that one. Then we want his, oh, actually, we wanted egg 0. My mistake. We can zoom in and see the changes we've made as we click on the buttons in or the frames, the animation. So we have 1 leg, 2 leg. Then we want it to go back to 0, or back to number 1 because that's the middle position. And we want number 2 because that's the back legs. Forward. And then generally when we make a looping animation, we want to bring it back to where we started. Oops, which should be egg 1. My bad. I make mistakes too. Lots of them. But mistakes are good. That's how you learn. And that's, so we'll hit play and look at our animation. Holy cow, he runs really, really fast. So what we're going to want to do, we'll click this one, I'm going to hold down shift. This one, click this one. I don't know if this is the right way to do it. This is just how I do it. And since there's 24 frames in a second for animation, 24. Not bad. It's good enough for the girls I go out with anyways. Perfect. So now we can close that. Whenever you create an animation, it puts this thing, we aren't going to have to mess with it, but it's called the animator. It controls which animation is being used at the time. And we want to take this animation, click on it in the project, and loop pose so that it will constantly run. Otherwise, it will only do go through it once. There. And we'll create a prefab of that. Why not? That's pretty much all I'm going to do for this scene, for right now. In the next tutorial, we'll start moving these things around, getting them to do stuff, that sort of thing. So, enjoy.